We are just days away from seeing the reveal of iOS 16, and the leaks are finally starting to pour in. So we're going to discuss the latest leaks and rumors surrounding iOS and iPadOS 16, along with my predictions. So Mark Gurman just said in a recent report that iOS 16 is set to be a, quote, fairly significant upgrade, despite the lack of leaks and rumors over the past few months. And the first bombshell of a feature that he mentioned is an always-on display. So this might finally be coming to the iPhone with iOS 16, but it's not going to be for the existing iPhones, just for the iPhone 14 Pro and later. So Gurman said this: I'm told iOS 16 builds in future support for an always-on lock screen, something Apple was originally planning for last year's iPhone 13. This would allow the iPhone to turn down the frame rate significantly on the lock screen and display quickly glanceable information similar to newer Apple Watches. And I think this is long overdue because let's face it, the lock screen that we have now is almost useless. I mean, sure, it shows you the time and a preview of your notifications, but the UI is just not very glanceable, and there's really not much that you can customize on the lock screen. But according to Gurman, that always-on display is not going to be the only thing coming to the lock screen with iOS 16. So he says, quote, Apple is planning major enhancements for the lock screen, including wallpapers that have widget-like capabilities. So I'm not too sure how this would work, but it seems like we're going to be seeing a lot more customization on the lock screen, which also adds validity to my previous report from months ago here on the channel, where I said that there will be a new way of sorting notifications on the lock screen, similar to what we can do with focus modes, but without needing to enable a focus mode. We might also see the ability to customize the notification bubbles themselves, and I've been sent a few variations of what these notifications might look like. I'm not sold on the validity of these screenshots, since it looks like some might just be renders or mockups versus actual screenshots from an internal build of iOS 16. But one thing that every one of these leaks seems to mention is that there will start to be more color on our lock screen and notification center starting this year. Now, whether or not we can choose the color of these notifications is yet to be seen, but I think the more likely scenario is Apple kind of adapting the dominant color of the app icon and applying a light shade of that color on the notification bubble for a more distinct look and a way to kind of differentiate between other notifications. Because right now, if you just glanced at your notification center, everything kind of looks the same. I mean, sure, we have the icon over here, but from a ways, from a distance, you can't really tell which is which. So it would be nice to have some color in there, some bubble colors for our notification center. We are also expecting some big changes to the Messages application and iMessage with iOS 16. So Gurman says that the Messages application is set to gain, quote, more social network-like functionality, particularly around audio messages. So we've heard this same rumor last year for iOS 15 and it never happened. So maybe this time around he'll be right. And I think the Messages app needs some changes. So it'll be interesting to see if Apple includes this along with RCS and maybe even the ability to edit and unsend messages like we heard about from those patents a couple years back. I would also like to see folders or a way of grouping certain message threads together. Like right now, we just have all messages, known senders and unknown senders. I would like to be able to create like different folders for messages. That way they don't show up, when we go to, let's just say work friends or something like that, or family, we can have different folders for different message threads. That would be something I would like to see with iOS 16. And in addition to the Messages app changes, we're also expecting several other default apps to get a new app icon, a redesign, and other major functionality changes. So think apps like the phone application, like the clock, like the health application, and like mail. So expect big changes to the default Apple apps. Apple themselves also recently leaked some accessibility features. I wouldn't really call it leaked, but they did preview these iOS 16 features. And you can see right here, there are a few of them related to accessibility. So the first one is door detection for users who are blind or low vision. And then they also previewed Apple Watch mirroring. So you can basically mirror your Apple Watch display to your iPhone, which I think is really cool. You can see right here, it shows a little preview of what that might look like. And then they also showed live captions coming to iPhone, iPad, and Mac for deaf and hard of hearing users. Now, we cannot talk about these iOS 16 leaks without mentioning widgets, because Apple notoriously said that the point of widgets was not to be interactive, but it seems like that might not be the case anymore, because we're hearing that some changes to widgets are coming with iOS 16. Now, I do not expect full-blown interactive widgets for every single application, but I'd love to see functionality added without needing to go into the application. Like if we had a music widget where we could skip tracks, pause, play from the widget, that would be really nice. Whatever the change with widgets is, it's allegedly going to be a pretty big one this year, so we'll have to wait and see on that. Now, Gurman didn't mention this one, but word on the street is that the control center will also be updated with iOS 16. So we're not too sure exactly what's going to change in the control center, but I am hearing there's going to be a pretty nice change to the UI in the control center, which is going to be nice because right now, I just think it's too cluttered in my opinion. We're also hearing that car crash detection could be coming to the iPhone, but it's going to be for the iPhone 14 and later, so Apple may not announce that alongside iOS 16. They may wait until the iPhone 14 launches to show off that feature, but we're hearing that's one thing that could be coming as well. And then for iPadOS 16, we also have some new leaks courtesy of Gurman, who said this in that recent report. While I don't expect an iOS 7 scale redesign in iOS and iPadOS 16, I am expecting major changes to windowing and multitasking, particularly on the iPad. This was affirmed by a finding from Steve Troughton-Smith, who hints that Apple is building support into its web browsing framework for better windowing support. We also heard about a feature that adds floating window support in applications if an external keyboard is connected. So basically, this is going to be like Apple's version of Samsung's DeX. So this was first reported by a leaker on Twitter, and then later a patent from Apple was filed, and the images show exactly what we just mentioned. So this is expected with iPadOS 16, and I think a lot of iPad users are going to be extremely happy about this, especially if you have an iPad Pro. And then for macOS 13, there are not many leaks or rumors out there, but Gurman did say in this report that we can expect an overhaul to system preferences to make it more in line with settings on iOS. That includes organizing settings by app, which is long overdue for macOS. And then for tvOS, we're hearing that it will get more smart home integrations, but that's about the extent of what we've heard for the new Apple TV software. I would expect more changes though, because Apple is rumored to be announcing a new cheaper Apple TV sometime later this year. And as far as my predictions go, I think a lot of people are really sleeping on iOS 16. I think a lot of people are not expecting much, and I think that's when Apple's going to surprise us and actually bring a ton of new features. Now keep in mind, a lot of people were disappointed last year with iOS 15, but I made an hour-long video showing those features. So it's not like iOS 15 didn't have a lot of features. So it seems like everybody's just trying to complain about everything. So, I would not expect iOS 16 to be a small update by any means. I think it may be right in line with like what iOS 15 was. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy, but I do think we are going to see like that always on display. I think we're going to get some big changes to widgets. I think we're going to have those notification changes. I think there's going to be a lot more UI changes this year than there were last year, which to most people, those are the ones that are most important, which is why I think that a lot of people are going to be surprised with iOS 16 because the expectations are set so low. And of course, we are just days away from seeing iOS 16 Beta 1. It's going to be released right here on Monday, June 6th. I will be going live here on YouTube to talk about iOS 16 a couple of times before the 6th, and I will also be going live during the WWDC event right there on Monday, the 6th. So make sure you tune in for those live streams. I will be keeping you guys up to date with everything related to iOS 16. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about iOS 16 down in those comments below. What are you expecting? Do you think it's going to be better than expected, worse than expected? Let me know your thoughts down there in those comments below. And I'm sure I will be making another video on iOS 16 before it gets released on Monday. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see you guys very soon.